If your dog has a whole room to choose from, but still comes over and sits right on your feet, that can feel like a very specific message. A lot of owners read that moment fast. They think, my dog is obsessed with me, or my dog is protecting me, or maybe my dog gets anxious the second there's any distance. But this behavior may be telling a calmer story than that. Very often, when a dog sits on your feet, the simplest read is the strongest one. Your dog may be choosing the easiest place to stay close while keeping track of you. Not drama, not a mystery, just closeness made efficient. And once you see that, the behavior starts to make a lot more sense. In this video, we'll look at why dogs do this, what owners often misread, and what to watch next time so you can read the pattern more clearly.
Hidden dog signals. Understand your dog better.
This is one of those behaviors owners notice immediately because it feels so intentional. You stop in the kitchen for a minute, and your dog comes over and lowers down across your shoes. You're standing at the counter, half working, half thinking, and your dog presses in close. You're getting dressed, picking up your keys, moving through one of those little routines that happens before you go somewhere, and suddenly your dog is right there again. Not on the rug, not a few feet away, on your feet. That's why it stands out. Your dog is not just somewhere near you. Your dog is choosing the closest spot that still lets them settle. And for a lot of dogs, that choice has a very practical logic. If they rest across your feet, they do not have to follow every movement from across the room. They can stay close, settle in one place, and still notice right away if you shift, turn, or start moving. So yes, the behavior feels meaningful, but it may be meaningful in a quieter way than many owners assume. The most common misread is turning this into a big emotional conclusion too early. Owners often think this must mean intense attachment, possessiveness, or anxiety. And honestly, that reaction makes sense. The behavior looks personal because it is personal. Your dog is choosing contact with you very specifically. But here's the gentle correction. Not every close behavior is a dramatic behavior. A dog sitting on your feet does not automatically mean your dog is anxious. It does not automatically mean your dog is guarding you. And it does not automatically mean your dog is making some huge emotional declaration every time they do it. Sometimes owners are right to notice the behavior, but too quick to assign the biggest possible meaning to it. Because a simpler explanation is often sitting right there in front of you. Your dog may just be choosing the most efficient place to stay close while settling. That interpretation explains a lot without forcing the moment into something heavier than it needs to be. A useful way to read this behavior is as efficient closeness. Your dog may want two things at the same time, to settle and to keep track of you. Your feet make that easy. They are close, predictable, and full of small movement cues. If you stay where you are, your dog can relax there. If you shift your weight, step back, or turn to leave, your dog notices immediately. So instead of settling somewhere else and monitoring you from a distance, your dog may choose the one place that keeps the connection simple. That is why this behavior often makes more sense as a settling and tracking pattern than as some dramatic signal on its own. Your dog may not be saying, "I can't handle space from you." The quieter version may be much closer to the truth. "I'd rather settle where I can stay close and know what you're doing." That is a very different picture. And it also explains why this behavior often shows up during still moments. When you are cooking, when you are working at the counter, when you are standing in one place longer than usual, when you are moving slowly enough for your dog to settle, but not so permanently that your next movement is irrelevant. That middle zone is often where this behavior makes the most sense. This is where timing changes the meaning. If your dog sits on your feet when the room is calm and you are standing still, that often looks like simple settling. Your dog has found an easy place to rest while staying connected. If it happens when you are getting ready to leave, the meaning may shift a little. Now, your dog may be tracking transition, not just enjoying closeness. If it happens in a new place, Your feet may work like an anchor point. Your dog may settle there because you are the most familiar part of the environment. And this is the part that matters most. The same behavior can look calm in one moment and more tense in another. A dog who settles heavily on your feet, softens through the body, and stays there is giving you one picture. A dog who sits there briefly, pops back up, paces, comes back, watches the door, and keeps rechecking is giving you another. That contrast tells you more than the feet alone, because the behavior is only the surface. The pattern around it tells you whether you are looking at calm closeness, transition tracking, or a more restless kind of tension. The best thing to watch is the sequence around the behavior. Start with what happens right before your dog comes over. Were you standing still? Were you cooking? Were you getting dressed? Were you near the door? Were you in a place your dog does not fully know yet? Then watch how your dog settles once they reach your feet. Do they lower down slowly and stay soft? Do they lean and relax? Do they seem comfortable the second they get there? Or do they stay half alert, like they are resting and monitoring at the same time? Then watch what happens after. Once your dog reaches your feet, do they actually settle more deeply? Or do they keep checking, pacing, circling, and starting over? That one contrast can change your reading of the whole behavior. A calm dog on your feet is often showing you a closeness pattern. A restless dog on your feet may be showing you a transition pattern or a tension pattern. And that is why your feet can become such an important place for this behavior. They give your dog quick information about whether you are staying put or about to move. So next time, do not just ask, "Why my feet?" Ask, what was happening right before this, and what changed right after? That question usually gives you the better answer. A better response starts with reading the state your dog is in, not the symbolism you are tempted to assign to the moment. If your dog looks soft, settled, and comfortable, you usually do not need to make the behavior bigger than it is. You can simply let your dog rest there without turning it into a problem or a performance. If you need to move, move in a way your dog can read clearly. Shift first. Step calmly. Give your dog a predictable body cue instead of a sudden, confusing one. That matters here because this behavior is often about your dog tracking your movement while trying to stay settled. So the clearer your movement is, the easier that moment is for your dog to navigate. And if you notice this happens most during certain routines, that is useful. If it shows up when you cook, work, or stand still, that tells one story. If it shows up most around departures, rushed transitions, or unsettled moments, that tells another. The goal is not to stop the behavior just because it looks emotionally loaded. The goal is to read it more accurately. And if the feet sitting comes with repeated pacing, panting, rechecking, inability to settle, or constant shadowing through the house, then the feet are probably not the whole story. At that point, the broader pattern deserves your attention. So the best response is simple. Stay calm. Move clearly. Notice the context. And let the full pattern tell you how much the moment actually means. So why does your dog sit on your feet? Often, the calmer answer is that your dog may be choosing the easiest place to stay close while keeping track of you. That is the strongest interpretation to remember. Not necessarily protection, not necessarily anxiety, not necessarily a big emotional message. Sometimes it is just the simplest form of closeness your dog can use while settling. And once you start watching the timing around it, the behavior becomes much easier to read. Because your dog is not only choosing contact, your dog may be choosing a spot that makes closeness easy, settling easy, and your movement easy to follow. That is why this small behavior can tell you something real without needing to mean something dramatic. When a dog chooses your feet instead of the whole room, the quiet message may be this: this is the easiest place to stay close and settle. If your dog does this a lot, watch whether it happens more when you are standing still or more when you are about to go somewhere. That one detail may tell you more than the behavior alone.
Hidden dog signals. Understand your dog better.